Hi ST fans, welcome back to the channel. The quality of the air or the gas that we breathe is of utmost importance, but it's something we often take for granted. Divers Alert Network has been running a dedicated safety campaign on this topic titled Safety is in the Air, and given some recent high profile incidences involving contaminated air, now seemed a good time to give it some coverage. Now, let's dive into the video. A recent case here in the UK showcased how things can go dramatically wrong very quickly. A group of teenagers in the north of England were undergoing dive training as part of their activity week, and the cylinders they hired in were contaminated with carbon monoxide. One fell unconscious in the water and needed resuscitation on the poolside, and in total 8 needed hospital treatment, with one having to be put into a medically induced coma. Thankfully, such incidences are extremely rare, but think about it. How many of us really consider the quality of the gas we are breathing? There are various kinds of contaminations that can turn your underwater life support into pure poison. Dan's Safety in the Air campaign seeks to inform divers on the possibility of getting intoxicated and how risk can be reduced. The main culprit is carbon monoxide. Typical signs and symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning are headaches and sensation of pressure inside the head, vertigo, nausea, breathlessness with exertion, confusion, vomiting, paralysis and or unconsciousness, and cherry red lips, cheeks and fingernails, especially in the early stages. When you experience a symptom of CO intoxication or you notice these signs in a fellow diver, it is extremely important to engage the following procedures. When you're on the diver should stop breathing from the contaminated cylinder and end the dive. The dive buddy can provide his alternate air source to provide the diver with uncontaminated air. Although if both tanks were filled using the same compressor, this air supply may also be contaminated. Basic life support and 100% oxygen should be administered as soon as possible. Call Dan for medical advice and arrange transportation to an emergency medical facility, preferably one with a hyperbaric chamber, for assessment and appropriate treatment. A quick response is vital in cases of CO intoxication, but better still than curing the symptoms is to avoid them in the first place by having a good prevention strategy. CO contamination usually arises from impurities in the air taken into the compressor, or from contaminants generated by the compressor itself, as was the case in the recent incident mentioned before. The air compression process can only introduce large amounts of CO and CO2 to your breathing air when they are directly available in the environment of the compressor. Therefore, it's important to make sure to check the compressor that fills your air cylinders and its location. So, what can a dive centre club or dive shop do? Well, they can make sure the air inlet from the compressors is upwind of the exhaust and away from any source of contamination, such as motor vehicles, diesel generators or other gas exhaust. Also, they can make sure nobody is allowed to smoke or burn any materials near the air inlet. They can make sure the correct compressor oil and filters are used and regularly check that the air intake hose is not damaged and couplings are not loose, which is usually caused by vibrations. They can ensure proper maintenance of the compressor, as excessive wear can lead to overheating, and these high temperatures may decompose the lubricating oil into toxic products, such as CO. They can regularly check the quality of the air. This can be done by using detector tubes and other non-reusable devices, or with electronic analyzers. Alternatively, and required in some regions, air testing by accredited laboratories can be done. So that's dive centres, but what can the diver do? Well, if you're using your own compressor, respect the recommendations stated before, as they're equally applicable. You can only obtain air or breathing gas fills from a reputable dive centre club or dive shop, and ask the supplier how often they check the quality of their air and if they periodically perform compressor maintenance and have a compressor log. If possible, check the location of the air intake of the compressor when getting a cylinder filled at an unknown filling station, especially when on a dive holiday. You can also avoid smoking immediately prior to the dive, as cigarette smoke also contains CO. You can check your air cylinder for presence of CO using a personal CO detector device, especially if you have concerns about the quality of the air supplier or when you cannot determine how the dive cylinders were filled. While electronic sensors may be rather expensive for the individual diver, products such as the CO Pro, which can detect the presence of CO in the breathing gas, are inexpensive, making them accessible to all divers. And they allow you to analyse the air in real time and on site. Have you had a dodgy air fill? Do you check the contents of your cylinder before a dive? Leave your comments below, and remember, if you have any questions relating to this video or any other topic, fire away. If we can't answer it, I'm sure someone in our growing community will be able to. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Scuba Diver YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. And check out our playlist for a host of educational and informative content. As always, if you're going diving, stay safe.